And what I recommend if you haven't watched these things before is turn your volume on Twitch off.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that.
All right.
Speaking of which, because I see that
See my
going
hand.
on Twitch, I saw that something was on.
There's my hand over Battle Map Yeehaw. It's probably like 4 or 5 seconds delay for you.
Yeah, I see a bit of stuttering with the snow.
Oh,
What
that's
do you
all.
run that on?
That's a. I'm right now running a live battle map, so go to the live show that should be running right now. You're looking at probably a video clip from a previous episode. That's a Patreon guy called RPG Scenery. He's got a tool he made in Unreal Engine 4 with a bunch of scenes with preset cameras. I've used it for the last one I did last night with a fellow named Chromosis.
That'd be me. Hey guys.
There you go. He's here. All right, cool.
Oh, hey.
Well, while people are settling in, why don't you guys just introduce yourselves to each other? Because people listening are going to want to know who these dudes are and where they come from and what's their gaming background. Just go around the table and do it.
Oh boy, all right. Hey peeps, I'm Ediwir. I've been playing since I don't even know how long. GMing since 2002, 2006. God damn it, it's been a long time.
Almost dead.
I've started. Sorry.
I'm just joking. Go ahead.
I've started second edition with the first days of playtest. Been in there ever since and loving it.
Cool. And you're from Australia, right?
Well, I'm from Italy. I live in Australia.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, been traveling a little.
Now, did you
Ended
play
up.
D&D or fourth edition, 3.5, 2, 1, 8, any of
So
those old
I've
classics?
I've played from very briefly AD&D, and then third edition. Started GMing in third edition. 3.5 Pathfinder. Briefly been in D&D next. Moved back to Pathfinder, then moved continent. Could not find my old group anymore, and that led me to try to play Pathfinder, fail, play 5th edition.
Cool. Awesome.
And then finally moved to second edition with the release.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Cool background. So you know your way around a
Yeah.
D20, that's for sure. So you're not like
A
a
little
secret
bit.
traveler
Little
player
bit.
that's playing this because there's nothing else to do, right?
I think I'm supposed to roll more than a 1. Sometimes I manage.
I kill everyone in the room.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
All right, let's go around the table. Who else we got here?
Sure, I'll hop in. I'm Tsarak is my handle, but my name's Don. I'm an English teacher in Indiana, a little bit northwest of Indianapolis in Lafayette, where Purdue's at. So I've been gaming on and off since very young. I had an introduction with second edition just over at a friend's house, hanging out, wondering what this book with all the cool imagery was about. And we started messing around with it. I didn't really have a solid grasp on the rules, but later in middle school and high school, I connected with a group running out of a garage, classics. And we played a lot of, honestly, Shadowrun and Earth Dawn.
Awesome.
And so I have some experience in those systems. I did a very short stint as a freelance writer when they did an open call when they were launching 1879. And now I am an English teacher, and I run a role-playing games club at school that went through. The guy that's helping me organize it was most familiar with first edition Pathfinder. So we started there, realized they were going to launch a second edition. We went full sail into the playtest for it. And then we decided to go with the finalized second edition as well. And I also maintain, as a player, I GM for that school group 3 times a week, 2 hours each night after school, now digitally, as we're all adapting to that.
Yeah.
And now I also have been in the past 2 or 3 years. It's been with a 5th edition group. I am a player in that campaign, but
Cool.
getting ready to take the reins as a GM there.
That's an awesome background. One of my coworkers is a school teacher, and he's a big bolt action Warhammer 40K player as well. In our neighborhood here in Texas, the teachers drive around the neighborhoods and honk their horns with mascots tied to the tops of their cars to keep in touch with the kids that live in the neighborhood. So for teachers, I feel sure you guys are having to improvise big time.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, but it's all been received well. We're all doing the best we can, and honestly, we've got the time to take a look at a lot of technological tools, being almost forced to, that we kept promising ourselves, oh, we're going to check that out later and incorporate that into our lesson planning. Well,
Yeah, right.
showtime.
Yeah, Blackboard, everything else.
Mhm.
On my school, I work at a private language school, and we've been playing with the idea of doing online classes for like a year and a half. And we always had, oh yeah, we have this tool that we're looking at. It's really nice. People should have a look at it and get ready in case we start this for next year. And that never moved. And now we're like, you remember these things that we had? Yeah, you have to learn to use them by like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, universities are having to adapt and everything. We got more folks. Let's go around the table with everyone else. Jump in.
You or me, Steel? Do you want to go first or me?
Go first.
Go for it.
Sure.
You guys can call me Chuck if you want.
Hi, Chuck.
Right,
I've been gaming since the 80s, so I've played an awful lot of D&D in my time. We switched to Pathfinder Second Edition recently just because we felt like it offered us more options, maybe a little more crunch. And our game master didn't like monster and encounter design in 5th edition so much. So
Awesome. So you're old school like me then.
a little bit.
We're probably
A
much
little
more
bit,
better
sure.
versed in the rules than I am. That's for sure. That's my biggest weakness for the second edition is not enough table time.
Yeah, I mean we play once a week, so well until recently, obviously, but so I don't have it memorized, but I try to make sure that our sessions are fun, but we don't disregard the rules too blatantly, I guess would be a
Yeah.
good way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely.
People running around taking more than 3 actions a turn, but
Cool.
casual stuff, I guess. So
Now, where are you set up in the world these days?
I'm in Massachusetts.
Cool. It's a East Coaster. Awesome. And
Not
Chromosis,
far
you were a
from
little
me.
soft earlier. I know we chatted last night.
Yeah, you might have to turn me up. I have no idea why.
Sounds good now.
Oh,
You sound fine.
Yeah, you sound good now.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty close to Chuck. I'm up in New Hampshire.
Nice.
I used to live in Massachusetts. I moved up here a couple of years ago.
Smart guy. You got out.
Yeah, no sales tax. No income tax, no sales tax. It's great.
Snowplow tax.
Oh yeah. You complain about the snowplow tax until it snows, and then you go, "Oh right, $4.95 is clear, thank God." Yeah, so I feel like I might be the youngest in the group. I'm 32. I started Pathfinder about 2.5 years ago in a Giant Slayer campaign.
No, actually, I'm 31.
Oh, awesome! I don't feel.
I just was a kid when I started.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so I only started about 2.5 years ago playing Giant Slayer. Basically, a buddy of mine who I played games with, like Gloomhaven. He played a little bit of Kingdom Death Monster, but that got a little too crazy for me, and I was just like, no, thank you. But I played a lot of tabletop games, a lot of RPGs growing up, and definitely played like Baldur's Gate, stuff like that. So I was familiar with the D&D system and the ideas there, but never actually played tabletop. So he told me about Pathfinder. It sounded fun. I went in with a group of guys who were all pretty new, except for I think like 1 or 2 of them. And everyone wanted to play like a martial or a damage dealing class. So our group is 2 barbarians, a ranger, a druid who is one of the more experienced guys, and no one wanted to really play a healer or support. So I said, hey, I'll play a bard. And it was awesome fun. I've been enjoying it. We're on like book 5 of that, of Giant Slayer. But when 2nd edition came out, I was all aboard for that. And so I picked up the book back when it came out and went on vacation and sat on a beach. I was telling about this, but I sat on a beach in Maine and read the rule book and built some sandcastles. I thought it was a good time. But
That's awesome.
I've been playing Age of Ashes and I've been playing a champion and done a couple one shots where I played like a rogue and a druid. So it's been awesome. And my background is data privacy, so I do a lot of work with law and rules and things like that. But I'm not a lawyer. But reading giant rule books and things like that is pretty much my job, so I'm pretty good at it. So
That's
it
awesome.
goes well, except for when my GM gets really mad for me looking up rules in the middle of the session. So
Well, it's all a balance, you know. I mean, I got my wife to play the Hidden Shrine of Tomoesha, and I just replaced all the enemies with Pathfinder 2 enemies, and then she's like, okay, I want to try stealthing up. I'm like, oh, crap, I don't know that rule yet. So like, we're just going to use Hide in Shadows and move silently for the time being. Just roll the percentile dice for me. So
the
I
only
really...
thing I added
Go
is,
ahead.
sorry, is that yeah, I've also gotten into mini painting a lot. So I'm actually currently going through all the iconics from the first edition rulebook, Sinnoh Alchemist.
That's awesome. I need to get them.
And yeah, from Reaper, they're all great. And I'm on Valeros, but the fighter, but I've got I posted the cleric up earlier in Discord, but I've got the wizard is my icon currently, and then I've got the druid, the rogue, the monk, and the champion finished as well. So
collect them all. It's like McDonald's cups; you never can have enough of them.
Oh, it's the best. Let me tell you.
So what I wanted to do today to make it kind of a, you know, you guys all have these different levels of expertise. You come from different gaming backgrounds. As I got this crappy sketch map I did for the End of the Welcome Witch from Hamlet, which is old school AD&D. And what I want to do is kind of show you a situation, and you can all share your ideas, like how would you run it as a GM. But also think that some people listening to this that's going to be on YouTube will be like just a player. So it may help them figure out like how would they approach as a player and how would you handle it as a GM. So I'm just going to lay out this scenario here on the board. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
I'm not the expert, so pretend I'm a player. I'm just a kid learning, right? So at the end of the Welcome Witch, this area down here, there's a little bit of delay between when I'm talking and pointing at stuff. So if it seems out of sync, I'll try to keep it slow. But say you've got a player who's got a mission to go into the End of Welcome Witch in the middle of the night and steal something out of chest in like this back room, all right? And they know that they think it's all, they don't know what's going on. Maybe you're playing with one or two players. But when they come in the front door, there's only one bullseye lantern mounted to maybe a pillar, and it's on this, you know, north side. If north is the top, mounted to this pillar. And according to the Pathfinder 2 rules, they're pretty much calling a torch about a 20-foot radius. So I just did this circle here to kind of be a 20-foot radius. And you got this black area here. And I'm a former architect, so I'm such a nitpick about shadows. But this will be kind of block shadows by the actual column, big heavy timber type construction like you see in the old days. And then once you get beyond that 20-foot radius, you get this 40-foot radius, which they call dim light. So, you know, this is all on, oh, goodness gracious, I got the page open here. What is this page number? It's not going to read very well on the stream, but it's like 464, right? And all this stuff kind of ties into perception and everything else. Let's say you're the DM. You know you got this chumpy crossbow girl behind the bar. She's not going to be a big threat. Maybe you got some, you know, one-handed elf drow or whatever you want to have. Another baddie over here with a short sword. Another crossbow girl over here. Now, the player doesn't see any of that. And maybe you have someone that's over here in the corner who's been looking out the window the whole time waiting for the show up. So this enemy would definitely see you come trippy-tropping up to the door. You take one step into the door. As a GM, maybe go around the table, talk about like how would you handle the situation, and also maybe talk about if you're a player, what are you going to see and what's this going to feel like to you. And I'll just hush and let you guys run with it.
So blackout drunk that you're capable of sort of making, you know, faking it, or
Sorry
you
about
wanted
that.
to come in for one last pint, something like that.
Lost my headset for a minute there. We may have missed some of your conversation. Sorry about that. I leaned over too far and I yanked out the USB slot. So
That's all right.
yeah, go for it.
Having a little bit of a lag on the stream, but all good. So we have a dim area in the back where the players are. That's like darkness. So
Well, these
only
are-
the monsters with dark vision will see the player and roll initiative initially.
Yeah, these are the
But
baddies.
they could make some noise.
So this
yeah,
is just
so
a
it-
player. Okay, go for it.
So I'm just looking at who sees what. Okay, that's my first thought. So if the enemies have dark vision, they see the players. If they do not, they probably just hear them, and so they are talking about. We're talking about, having all the different detection stages. For the players, same thing. We have some players which might have low light vision, in which case they have no problem with the dim light. We might have some players with dark vision, in which case they're able to see the enemies in the corner, and that will inform us on basically who plays how, and there will be different possibilities for each character.
Cool.
Well, that is something that, as a GM, you kind of have to keep in mind, not because it changes the way you as a GM play. Well, of course, your critters with dark vision will play differently, but it also lets you kind of anticipate what the players will need.
Think about it from this next little silly camera perspective that should pop up in a second or two here. Yeah, there we go. We're catching on. Wait for the stream. I'm looking at the stream on the other monitor. So you got this bad girl who's been looking out the window, waiting for the team of players to show up. You're the GM. You're controlling. You kind of want them to ambush whoever's. Kind of know you're coming. So as a GM, a lot of times I wouldn't have her attack immediately, but she's staying. What would you call this area here, where it's all shadowed, when the players are come marching in the front door? Assume everyone's a human, so we can eliminate all the dark vision. What would you call this area here? And in your experience as a GM, where it's just shadow from the column?
She'd be hidden, I think, for the most
definitely
sort of
hidden,
common way of saying.
I would imagine there'd probably be like a passive perception check. I mean, we're talking humans, so it's sound, right? So maybe even a secret check just to see if any of them hear that person or see that person.
For the players, you're thinking? Would you do like a secret check, like you have their character sheets and maybe done a, like say it was just one cleric. Let me get the other kids out of the way. So you're thinking you would do a say there's just one female cleric and she's much higher level than the chumpy enemies. So you would do a passive check for her without the player knowing you're doing it, kind of a thing. Is that what you think?
Yeah, and I really like the secret check system for second edition. I just think it's a great way to let a GM, if they want to. I mean, you can fudge rolls, but even without that, it's a great way to be able to basically let the character make it a little bit better than just a spreadsheet simulator, right? Where it's, okay, my perception is this, and I rolled it, and I got a 34, and okay, it beats the DC, so I know they're there, and so they're not flat-footed anymore. So that can be a one way to do it.
Cool. Let's go around the table. Let the other guys chime in too.
Could be.
I like the initial flat check there, or not flat check, but perception check. That's a secret roll, simply because you're walking into an area where this enemy would be hidden from an unsuspecting player, and they've possibly got maybe the span of a second, likely less, to acknowledge that there's some movement over there and it's vaguely threatening.
Do you even say that much, though?
So not necessarily. You say what people notice, and what people notice is creature, person, someone in vaguely hidden, a shape that moves in the dark, and that's it. Apparently, from what they can tell, it's the only one. You can have them roll a perception, and that could be their initiative. And if it's high enough, you can give them a hint that there's noises in the corner.
Yeah, so say you give them that kind of a noise. I know we haven't gone through everyone yet. Let's say you did that, right? You tell, I'm playing the cleric girl here, and this is just some, dual wielder nasty. And I say, okay, you tell me this description that you think you see someone shuffling up against a wall by some cloaks or something. A player's going to, focus on this dark area. Are they?
Somebody mentioned sound, so I guess are we going more on like something that you might hear, like loading the crossbow, or?
It could be up to you.
If their roll is high enough, then maybe they hear. If that's a melee-based assailant, they draw their sword and they hear the sword clearing the scabbard or something like that, or
pretend it's your game.
Glint off the sword, something like that.
Something to make it kind of ominous and theatrical.
just not to metagame my group, but if I use the word threatening with my group, there would literally be fireballs flying everywhere. So,
That's
Well,
fair.
that's a way to solve light.
I blow up the entire inn and pick up a beer afterwards.
pretty much.
I mean, is Fireball ever not the answer?
I know, it's so funny. Well, at least
Well,
Only
for
if they're
me,
all
it's
standing in a
when
straight
I'm
line.
running, it's not the answer. So,
I mean, if they're all standing in a straight
Yeah.
line, I guess lightning bolt is the answer, right? So,
Mhm.
yes, electric arc is so overused.
yeah. Oh, I know.
I don't like it. I was actually hoping it would come up as an errata, as a change, and I'm like, not yet.
I just use dex based enemies against them and pass more of the saves by larger margins than they would like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to screw them over too much, but
I mean,
Yeah,
making the
but
save is just half
sometimes-
damage. So.
I'm
Find new
more I'm
tricks.
trying to make them flex their muscles and use other options available to them. So
So I'm going to switch back to the overhead view. It's not as awesome, huh?
Yep.
And did everyone get a chance to say what they thought for that initial kind of like what to do with the girl in the window kind of vibe as a GM? Or do we skip anyone?
the biggest thing I guess would be where you want to decide that this thing sort of starts. If you're narrating, maybe you tell them before they get to the door that the tavern doesn't sound like it normally should. It's quieter or it's darker or something. And
It's 3 a.m. Let's say it's 3 a.m. The player is going in
Yeah.
at night to break and steal something from a chest or get some manifest or whatever your typical cool, intriguing storyline element is. They look at the inn as they approach. It just seems like maybe just one bullseye lantern still on. I mean, there's enough light in there for her to see. And you could describe the space. You come into the room, you see this one bullseye lantern. It feels kind of like, a bar shut down late at night. And the player doesn't see anything. Now, these kids here, they're in darkness. Would you say that these guys way back in the northeastern corner are completely in darkness? They're undetected. Would you guys agree with
absolutely.
that? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Let's say this, girl behind the
could
bar is
actually-
crouched down behind the bar. Go ahead.
You could actually say that at the beginning, before the players walk in, the guys in the corner are unnoticed, not just undetected. Reminder, there is a difference between unnoticed and undetected.
Mm-hmm.
An unnoticed character is pretty much removed from the scene. There is no hint of his presence.
Yep.
An undetected character is like completely hidden, but you have a hint that they're there. So that sound of that crossbow loading, that could be something that shifts them from unnoticed to undetected.
That's a really good point.
You know that there's someone, you just don't know where.
A great example. So playing Age of Ashes, our GM had there's like a cave early on. There's some sort of like creature inside of it that you don't know about as a player, and he had us do a passive perception check, which we failed. But he said that had we made it, we would have noticed that there were some pretty strange footprints from a non-humanoid creature in that cave as well. So we would have known, like, oh, there's something else here, which would have moved it to that undetected, where we don't know where it is, we can't quite see it, but we know it's in that cave somewhere, as opposed to unnoticed, where we're just completely oblivious to its existence.
Yep.
Another thing for me as a storyteller kind of a guy is, having the girl in the window, and I know the stream's a few seconds behind. I'll try to linger my hand longer. She's been waiting for you. She's seen you. The rest of her cronies in the bar, you don't even have minis on the table for them. Like, you don't want to tip the player off. There's a girl crouched behind the bar, or there's two baddies up in the northeast corner. That player comes in the room, they're going to see this other enemy in 20 feet away, and that's where it's all scary and ominous, and the player feels like, hey, there's just one of them, and they can start doing whatever they're going to do. And if they have friends with them, it would change the whole encounter. But once these two start doing something nasty to each other, these two that were in the northeast corner would see all this quite easily, I would think. They're going from complete darkness and seeing you just in the edge of the shadow of the bright light. And the girl behind the bar will hear the front door creak open. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
And if they're all allies, that the ones in the corner would likely have an eye on that one in the window.
Yes,
and
I
I think
could-
this is a really great use of second edition's different initiative roles as well, because the ones that are undetected or unnoticed in the far northeast corner there, upper right corner there, are going to be possibly rolling stealth for initiative if the one in the bar area is trying to act like they're not allied with this group ambushing the player. Like was said earlier, you could use a diplomacy or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say that they're all together. So it's 4 baddies all together. Their leader's the girl in the front window. She's got her, her sisters behind the bar. Stay behind the bar, stay hidden. Her other 2 friends or brothers are in the back, so they all know you're coming. So you said a moment ago how you would do initiative between the 2 in the northeast corner as a stealth. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit for someone who doesn't understand how that works, how the cool new initiative rules work in Pathfinder?
Sure. In second edition, they've pretty much opened up the rules for initiative. Your baseline initiative is a perception roll. So if there is nothing else going on, nothing else that would dictate how quickly you react to any given situation, you are going to use a perception roll.
Someone give me a page number for that. I'll pull it up on the background, but I want you to keep talking though, because
sure. Otherwise, you could use things for initiative, like if you're gonna try to sneak into an area of combat, you could use stealth for an initiative roll. If you're going to try to smooth the situation over first, perhaps you get the diplomacy roll going for initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And any one of your I hesitate to say any one of your skill checks, but many skill checks can be used to operate in initiative order if that is what the player or the NPCs are doing at that point in time when the encounter would break out.
Yeah, our barbarian is having fun using Intimidate for initiative when he gets the chance. So
That's always good.
Elaborate on that, because I know a lot of people from 3.5, I mean, the whole barbarian class and Intimidate's been around since 3rd edition. Even people who played Neverwinter Nights probably have heard. Why don't you just elaborate on that just for a little bit more detail for people who never heard of that before?
Okay, well, so to piggyback on the fact that you can now use other skills as unique situations demand, they recently were in a combat against some pirates, so it was out on the open deck of 2 ships, and they had some time before the ships closed to boarding action. So the barbarian thought that it would be a good opportunity to to just flex his muscles, so to speak, and try to see if he could use that for his advantage in that situation against a group of bloodthirsty pirates.
What do the other guys think?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying the idea of skills for initiative is actually one of the first new rules in second edition that I ended up using, and that was during the first session of playtest, which I ran probably 3 days after it opened. It was amazing. I had no idea what I was doing, but I think one of my players decided I will kick down the door and just run at them. They were behind the door. They spied that there was someone in, and they just wanted to kick down the door and go and wreck things. And I had just told them, all right, roll athletics. And he rolled a nat 20 on that. That was great. And I told him, yep, that's your initiative.
Yeah.
And that was just that random moment where you see something epic, it's amazing, it's cool, and you go, I can use that for initiative.
Right.
This
is our start
no
point.
Rules. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It was a really cool moment.
Yeah. The 2 that I think so stealth and deception are pretty powerful with regards to being initiative rolls, because if you get a good stealth initiative, I know rogues specifically have some feats that basically let them get what the old flat-footed attacks from 1st edition, where you go first, you get everyone's flat-footed to you. Same with deception. We had it was our fighter used deception for initiative, and it was basically because they were talking with someone who jumped us, and he the role play of it was he sucker punched this bandit leader, which was really cool because his deception's a lot higher than his initiative for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it is. So he was able to take advantage of that.
So let's say that let's just go back to our overhead view. It should catch up in a second. Let's say that your player, your cleric, who's higher level than these lower level enemies, step in the room, you did initiative, and maybe this person charged forward and the cleric was winding up a spell or whatever. Maybe the cleric's a war priest in the second edition?
Yeah.
And the rest of the baddies and the rest of the baddies are back here, and they're going to start moving forward or whatever. Say you got the whole Divinity, Original Sin, initiative order. Everyone's popped out. Then you have situations where people are flat-footed because of the lighting conditions. Why doesn't somebody explain both of these? The guy and the girl, say they're head-to-head, just meleeing each other. Nothing too fancy, no spells going off. They're both kind of in the same darkness. So it's like you and I both in the shadows trying to fight each other. Crossbow girl's trying to take a shot at her at the door, but she's in the shadows, which we could, I don't know what you would want to call it. There's a proper name for it. You'll have to determine that when you give me your answer, whether you want to call it dim light or darkness. And these other ones are going to have to close the gap in melee, so they're too far away to get there in time. But how would you handle these two folks attacking each other? Would you give them both a flat-footed -2 or something like that? Field that question first, and then let's talk about afterwards, like how would the girl with the crossbow shoot into the darkness to not hit her buddy and hit her friend? And I'll just turn that loose question for you guys.
I would add with the area behind the pillar, you can roll it a little bit as a GM. You could say it's a cloudy night, and that would make it darkness, but maybe it's a full moon and there's no clouds, and now it's dim light because those are windows, right? So there's light shining through the windows. And that could change the way that they get their passive perception checks to check that initial bandit, or it change the way it plays a little bit because maybe they do it a little bit differently. Maybe they try and sneak in through a back door or through an upper floor window because they know it's brighter out, so they're going to try and be a little bit sneakier than just going through the front door.
Who's next?
Right. So the two people who are like just fighting each other, I would probably call that area darkness, because it's just the light doesn't actually reach, and I would have them being aware of each other but still hidden. So they are flat-footed to each other. They have a 50% miss chance, or DC 11 flat check whenever they try and hit each other. And although I could always have, as mentioned, Starry Night or something, making so that the area is dim light, in which case we just have a DC 5 mischance for being concealed. One thing that I wanted to note before, I just didn't have the page for reference, so I went and looked for it. Is that if you look at page 477, that person that's sneaking behind the bar, that's in cover, that actually grants a bonus to stealth, which I've noticed a lot of people tend to forget.
Yeah, you get yourself obscure from line of sight completely. It's like pillar humping in WoW Arena. You get completely behind line of sight, and then you can start doing a stealth check, and then you can start sneaking after that. It's not like crouching down and going stealth mode like some rogue would do.
Oh yeah. It's not just that. It's not just that. Like the two guys in the corner, in the northeast corner, they can hide because they're in darkness and they're hidden and undetected or something. But they don't get a bonus to stealth. The person near the bar, she's in cover, which gives her a bonus to stealth.
Ah, okay. Does that mean it makes it easier for her to make her stealth check? How do you explain that for folks who don't know?
Yes, so if you're just hiding in the darkness, you have your regular stealth bonus. You roll your stealth. If you rolled higher than the perception DC of the opponent, you're hidden. The person near the bar, she can use the bar as cover, and that gives her a +2 to any stealth checks made to hide. If she can take an extra action, which is to take cover, she moves to greater cover, and the bonus increases to +4. So it's a lot easier to hide in dim light or behind cover than it is to hide just in regular darkness. Because in regular darkness, you can make a mistake, you can have a glimpse of something that reveals you or something, and if you have direct line of sight with someone, well, you make a mistake, you're screwed. You've been seen. If you're behind something, you make a mistake. For the most part, you're still hidden.
So I'm going to swing that camera around behind her point of view. So if she wanted to, if she just wanted to barely peek up and point her little light crossbow right on top of the little bar here, where only at the top of her head, like a shooter player would in a shooter game, and start taking shots, She's taking cover. She's gonna get that bonus to her stealth. So she's literally almost attacking from stealth. And if she's a rogue, she might. Did you
Mhm.
get sneak attack with that? Even though she's using a dex weapon.
Yep, you could easily
Very
do
nasty first
something
shot
like
for her.
something like this, like develop a sort of you could easily develop a sort of battle tactic for her, and you can just say as a GM, her basic tactic is to take a shot with her crossbow, and then take cover behind, and then use the third action to hide with the greater +4 bonus and reload, because she's a rogue ranger and she has the running reload feature, which allows you to sneak to sneak and reload with the same action. Or only in her case, it's a sniper thing, and it lets her hide and reload in the same action.
So
You can do that easily with monster rules. You can create custom abilities.
So
Absolutely.
This is a real war game spot. Go ahead.
With that basic tactic, you have a stealth sniper.
Yeah, very nasty.
Oh yeah, I've run something like that. It's terrible.
The player's like, what?
I had a group of soldiers actually. They were like level 4 soldiers. They ambushed a group of level 8 characters, and they massacred them using cover and distance and tactics. And it's the amount of impact you can have is amazing.
The lethality in second edition is there for you. It has that war game kind of vibe to it. What do you other guys think about the girl behind the bar scenario?
Yeah, slight tangent. I've been running. I've got 3 groups, so 3 different groups that meet after school each day, and we've been running the Fall of Plaguestone, and we're into chapter 3 now. But at the end of chapter 1, there's one of the NPCs that is loaded out. There's an encounter, and he has a heavy crossbow, and there is a scenario where there is a lot of cover in that situation.
The
And you
tripwire
think,
room with the boss in the one cave, that one?
that one.
Yeah, I did a map for that.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The end of the murder mystery intrigue portion ends in this encounter, and there are boxes and barrels to hide behind. There are tripwires in the room, and you think, oh, we're going after this. Well, my students who are young people, I love them dearly, but you think, oh, we're going to go question this guy. He's just one person. And with this heavy crossbow, they walked into a world of hurt. And as sort of their first boss encounter in the new system, the fear that set in there after the opening 2 or 3 rounds of the scenario was very palpable. The idea that you have these sort of feats and these sort of different actions with the 3 action economy, that you're not quite sure if you don't specifically spell out first action, this happens, second action, that happens. He disappears behind a box or a barrel or ducks down. There's Halid.
There he is. He's
And,
right out of Road Warrior, so that's some Australian heritage
yeah.
for you, right? Keep going. Keep going.
And when he crouches down behind something, you lose sight of him. He starts moving through different places that still have cover. You take him off the map, and all of a sudden he's right next to you. And some of the things that, again, monster design in second edition is absolutely fun. As a GM, he's got a really neat ability that happens when he does crit someone, which happens because he's built around being able to take a full team and actually manage the encounter pretty well up against them. So when that ability triggers, it can hurt. And all of a sudden, one of your allies is down, and you didn't even know where the guy was until a second ago. So that kind of the ability to move around, the ability to reload and do things sort of wrapped into one action, knowing that these feats exist, this customization exists, but you don't really expect it to show up on one of the NPCs. It's a very surprising, very satisfying thing as a GM, and I want to say as a player, as long as they don't fall unconscious right away.
Yeah, that's one thing that a lot of the fifth edition players. Well, I don't want to generalize fifth edition players. Just the ones I've encountered, they don't come from a more tactical background. They come from a critical role kind of fun, voice acting kind of background. They don't have some of that tactical savvy. Even when they play other MMOs and stuff, they don't play that way. And Pathfinder Second Edition has so much lethality. Yeah, I can see how some people have trouble with it, but the excitement of actually the fear of dying and working together as a team and knowing there's so many ways you could approach this differently. You almost wish they could just start over and try the encounter again like a save game because there's so many ways for them to see what could happen. I don't want to dominate the conversation. What do you other guys think about that kind of stuff? Or you could talk about the crossbow sword.
We had to do that in a campaign. The GM designed a monster that was too powerful and it took the fighter out before anybody took an action.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
So he literally reset the encounter and weakened the monster by a level.
We so in the Age of Ashes group, no one was really doing any of the, I have to just say, the combat maneuvers, because in first edition, combat maneuvers like grabbing, shoving, tripping your enemy were pretty weak, because it required a lot of investment to be good at it, is my understanding.
Yep.
Second edition, it's an athletics check. It's amazing because first, if you have weapons with the trip or the disarm trait, you can use basically your attack bonus in place of an athletics check. But if you've got a monk or a rogue or a fighter or a paladin or a champion even with a really high athletics modifier and a free hand, they can do a whole bunch of stuff to mess with people. I've made for a one-shot a rogue that dual wields gauntlets because gauntlets have the free hand trait, and I literally spend the entire fight grabbing people and then punching them in the face because they're flat-footed, and then they get the debilitations from the rogue feat, which is great. So if you're looking at playing a character, you don't necessarily have to do a lot of damage. If you're good at tripping enemies or grabbing them or shoving them around, you can really ruin their day when they're prone on the ground, making them flat-footed and getting stabbed by your fighter or shot to death by or chopped up by a flurry ranger who gets 4 attacks in a round with no multiple attack penalty to really worry about.
That's where that
wasn't that the issue in one of the pre-made scenarios where a pack of wolves was causing TPKs left and right?
Yeah, because wolves have so what it is that when they can spend an action on a successful hit to automatically trip people. So you can actually do that as a ranger if you get a pet wolf or a druid, I suppose. So if you have a pet wolf and they are of a high enough level, I believe they have to be like a savage animal companion or a nimble animal companion. They can bite people. And then their advanced combat maneuver is literally just, hey, was your last attack a hit? Cool, you tripped the enemy. It doesn't mention size or anything. It's literally just, oh, you just bit that hill giant. That hill giant's tripped now, and now everyone can go ahead and just beat the crap out of that hill giant.
Doggo.
Yeah, dogs. Wolves are great. I personally really like the snake because they have a really good high dex and high strength, which makes them good for athletics, for grabbing people. And they're pretty good at stealth as well. So another one shot, I did a druid with a pet snake who got the undetected or unnoticed, would sneak around in the bushes with a really high stealth modifier or in tall grass, and then grab enemies, and the rest of the group would just come in and beat the crap out of them before they had a chance to raise the alarm. So all I'm saying is that athletics, combat maneuvers, so disarming, grabbing, pushing, are awesome options for players, and they're really fun. And for GMs, they're a great way to keep your players on their toes because, you're a barbarian with a great axe. Well, you don't have a really good reflex modifier, or you really don't have a great way of combating it. You can get disarmed, and you can either punch people in the face or grab that axe and maybe get attack of opportunity a couple times.
That's
how actually at the very least you're messing with the action economy, which is a great thing too.
Oh, totally. Especially if you're tripping someone and you have an attack of opportunity guy around, that can really ruin someone's day.
It's almost
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I find disarm gets a lot of dismissal sometimes because the big debuff is on a critical success. And then I see that you get like at higher levels, it's very easy to just crit on that with like a 12 on a die, and then you're thinking, okay, so it's not automatic, but it's right. It's like it's not most of the time, but it's quite some time. that you can just disarm someone and they got not really much they can do.
How about from the perspective of going back to our fight here with the girl at the bar and the two
Yes,
fighting in
yes.
the shadows? I mean, so some of the stuff we're talking about is we're getting more and more and more advanced. Let's think back down from the level from someone who's kind of new, who's kind of like a what ranger? That they're a little lost now, right? Let's get that audience kind of like, okay, so we got this darkness. The cover thing's really awesome for the girl behind the bar. It sounds like there's a lot of cool flexibility for game masters to ruin someone's day. But one thing I always believed in, and see what you guys think, is I'd rather have the enemies show you tricks that you haven't learned yet, but not kill you. So you can feel that moment of fear and feel, oh, I've been knocked down. This is what happens to me. Can I do that to someone? And then the next time they play, they start using these abilities against the enemies to win more. That's one of the things. If you play the game way it is right now with guys right out of the bestiary, they're already designed to fight guys like you who are really good. They already know the rules. For younger players, I always like drop their AC, drop their hit points. So when you get on them finally, you're just mowing through them like Conan. But you had moments of fear where you're like, wait a minute, I've been knocked down, and you took my great axe away, and someone else sneak it. What are you guys' philosophy on like tailoring some of the hit points in the AC to a younger person or a new player from another game doesn't just get face rolled in that first crazy complex encounter where they don't have the
Well,
library
that's a good way of
knowledge?
teaching someone the ropes.
Yeah, go for
Just hang them with them. No. But yeah, no. I've brought up before that little trick with the cover and the stealth. And that cleric girl could just get hit by this sneak attack and go, oh wow, do I see what did it? And you just go, no, you duck behind the bar, took cover, and it's hidden now. And a thing the player could come up with is, can I do the same? And there's a table in the way, and you could very easily say, yeah, you can duck to get cover behind the table. You spend an action to take cover, and you'll have a cover bonus against against the sniper. You will not get a cover bonus against the guy you're in melee with.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're using, say, your third action of the round to do that, you attack, raise your shield, and then take cover. Well, you have a very effective attack. You have a defensive bonus against the guy that's next to you because of the shield, and then you have an additional defense bonus because of the cover from the girl behind the counter.
Need a table flipping mechanic.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Exactly.
And if you were really worried about the
trick against him.
If you were really worried about the sniper, taking out the cleric in one hit, you could have her opening action be like a Tanglefoot bag or something non-lethal. So you've shown them the mechanic, without one-shotting their character and saying, okay, I hope you learned your lesson, now roll up a new character.
Well, what would be the worst case scenario for the damage from a light crossbow anyway? I mean, you just run that number in your head real quick, right? I'm not gonna look at
with a sneak attack. I'm gonna go with like
doubled with crits as well. So if it's a critical hit, a war priest, they can wear medium armor. So say they're wearing not chain shirt, but chain mail. I mean, if they get a crit though, even if I think it's like a D6 for a light crossbow, right? If they get that one, say it's a 1d6 and they got 1d6 of sneak attack damage, and they roll 2/6, you're talking 24 damage. Even though we're talking again a single character higher level, that may not be the biggest deal, but a big chunk of your health right off the start of a fight can be really tough, and it can definitely change the way players play and make them more passive, a little more hesitant to rush in there.
Good point.
With a team, my experience has been playing very supporty characters. Even the one I'm playing now as a champion, it's a paladin. Like, yes, I can rush in and fight stuff, but my whole build's around shielding and protecting my allies. So, if I go in and take some damage, that's fine. But if the druid in our group goes in and takes 40, 50 damage, they're immediately hiding in the back and touching tapping themselves for their beacon of health or beacon of life, whatever it's called, the little heal that they can tap themselves for 4d8s, 5d8s, so, or d10s, whatever it is. So it can be tough, but show don't tell is what I think. So a lot of, like, with that table that's right there, you might want to kind of subtly encourage your players that, like, hey, you could flip this table over and give yourself, basically put up a table and have cover. Make it a 5-foot table from the looks of it, right? So it covers a square, and there's a wall, but it might also change the light, might change some things. So there's a lot of things going on, and you can, as a GM, I guess you can make it as complicated as you'd like.
I don't want to go around the room, but one thing I always like to do is, as a video game designer, even in games like Crisis stuff, we have to constantly make the player feel heroic, but we don't really want to kill them. Because if people get killed in the games too much, they just quit playing. So we'll try to make the AI do human things, like she takes a pot shot at you, but then she's nervous about shooting again because you're engaged in melee with her friend or her leader. So she's like watching you guys and shaking and holding her crossbow and looking, and she's not sure when to shoot again. When everyone's seen those scenes in films, you know, the hero and the heroine are rustling on the ground like Captain Kirk or whatever, and someone's holding the phaser or someone's holding the pistol and they don't know when to shoot, and the girlfriend always shoots the guy, you know. So sometimes, you know, you could tag that cleric, you know, she's higher level, and then this other hero she can worry about fighting against her. She may not be a tactical player. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll change the AI behavior of the person behind the crossbow because I'm like, oh my goodness, I just nailed this girl, got a really nasty shot. I'll change the behavior of the person behind the bar, be like, I'm afraid about hitting her friend. And then you can see what the player does. Does the player go, I've been shot, I detect I get shot, I'm going to put my back against the door so she has to come and fight me this way. That way she won't continue to shoot me. And then by doing that, maybe by the time that happens, these two kids have gotten their action. They're stepping into the torchlight. She's like, oh, crap, I should probably back out of this bar. So let me turn that camera a little bit. But that's one thing I think as a game master, besides these mechanics, which are really, really incredible, that you can do to make sure this person's having a good time, but is still on that edge of feeling like, oh, what can I do to get out of this? What are you guys' thoughts on those kinds of things? Where you're controlling the AI behavior to keep it on the edge of them losing without killing them. Or is that too nice?
Well, I mean, not everybody likes making characters, I guess. That, you know, the group I play in, we have people that just do not like making characters, and they want to live with their character for a while. You know, so if you kill them too quickly, it's definitely a downer.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes character death, you know, serves the purpose of the story and is epic, and people go, whoa. You know, but if it feels too arbitrary, like, you know, getting domed by the chickie with the crossbow behind the bar, then
yeah, I'm all in for a
taste
tough
somebody's
difficulty game, but there's a limit.
Yeah,
I mean,
there are a lot of tricks that don't incorporate, say, the sneak attack damage, that are interesting to make players learn different scenarios and different options they have. Going back to the cover thing, that Hallad fight taught them that very quickly. That as soon as he ducked behind a barrel, and he's a crossbow setup character as well, he's at a certain amount of distance. He goes behind a barrel, and they realize he has either cover or greater cover, and they realize what it's doing to their attack rolls. They're learning it from that end, and as soon as they see him again, okay, now can I go into cover? And the other things that I really enjoyed teaching players like that were the different reactions that are built into the game. It's not always that attack of opportunity, and that's one of the things that's fascinating to some of the 5th edition players I've had test out the system. Is that you're not always looking for that attack of opportunity. Combat is a lot more fluid, but it just happened. There's a fight with a big orc who has a couple of barbarian skills. And as soon as the cleric says, oh, I'm going to dump 2 actions to cast a spell before I take an action to move away, not knowing enough yet about barbarians or people that are built like that, that as soon as you move away, it triggers that reaction called no escape, where they move up to their movement speed with you. And so okay, I stride my movement speed away. Okay, he moves with me. He does what? It was a total surprise to the cloistered cleric that moved back behind the lines and dragged a barbarian with them.
Sounds like a train from EverQuest
Yeah.
1. what the rest of you guys think about the whole altering the AI. That's what I call it. It's just a video game word. Altering the behavior of the enemies to kind of not feel like you're making it easier for them, but make them feel like they're a scene from a film. So you know those mechanics. You know these things are going to do. What do the rest of you guys think about that kind of stuff?
I mean, some things you can do is just play on emotions rather than playing on mechanics. If I'm looking at Hallod right now, so I'm going to say Hallod. If Hallod has been murdering the party wizard and has stuck several crossbow bolts in his chest and is about to finish him, but then he gets hit really bad by the party's fighter, you maybe don't want to kill the wizard, but you really have a good chance to, and mechanically that could be the best thing to do. But Hallod just got hit.
Yeah.
So you know what? He's getting angry, and he is going to knife the fighter. He's got a knife.
Yeah.
He can do that.
Kukri or whatever it is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, making those emotional decisions for the NPCs rather than the optimal tactical one, and putting yourself as a GM in their shoes helps make sometimes not the optimal decision.
I think you guys have just hit on a really, really powerful point, both of you there. You have to paint characters from Stephen King book. You know what I mean? You have to make these characters that the emotional hero villain is just so people can relate to it from all forms of media. And we're trying to run mechanics behind the background. We're trying to tell a story, but you have some players who almost think that you're trying to kill them. Especially ones that are a little more lower mental maturity. If you have this hero that's done these really emotional, crazy things, how many times has someone seen an enemy in a film do that? Take bullets to the chest and turn and come after someone else. It's like Jason from Halloween. I think that's something that the game masters, as they get more and more set up with the mechanics, need to rely on breathing personality and character into the hero, the villain, so the villain will be a memorable character. So when you finally defeat the guy, it feels super earned. Whether you're kicking him in the face or whatever you're doing. I mean, you want to see Hallod dragged into that pond behind the tree and everything. By the time you're done with that fight, everyone should be like almost dead. This guy's finally drowned in the pond or whatever you did to him, and you're like, you feel like you really earned it. And I think that the game master has this great opportunity to make it feel like that's a guy from a movie. They really should feel like, whoa, that was real. Like almost have an adrenaline dump and be exhausted after the fight. It sounds kind of silly, but that's the magic of this kind of gaming. Is it's all in your head. It's better than a novel because it comes alive right on screen when you're playing, even if you don't have miniatures.
I would mention as a player as well that I used to play World of Warcraft, and threat in WoW is like really self-explained, right? It's like, hey, you have a tank, and the boss will fight the tank unless he has a mechanic that specifically says otherwise, and everyone else just does their jobs. Playing in a tabletop, right? The GM does kind of have to make a story and make these characters have a personality, but you should be careful to not kind of accidentally metagame, because I know playing first edition, I'm playing a bard who is basically this very small, kind of meager. I have a 7 in strength, right? I'm not a big, strong guy. I'm not carrying a big magic weapon. Another guy in our group is carrying this magic hammer. He's a half-orc barbarian. He's like big, bulky, and strong. And we walked into a room of one of these enemies who specifically wanted the hammer that this half-orc has. And the first thing they do is they throw 3 throwing axes at me. And I'm looking at the GM like, what did I do? I'm the bard. I'm just sitting in there. All I've done this entire fight is cast one spell outside the vision of all these people. And when you do things where it's like, oh, well, it makes the most sense because you're a caster. You don't want to metagame because it could make the players feel like you're trying to murder them, like you're trying to beat the party as opposed to give them a challenge, which can really suck when, for example, like I mentioned, when you've got a bard who, he cast blur on the barbarian outside, but he did something and he looks like a magic caster, so we're killing him first because he'll be the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a real buzzkill.
Absolutely.
Do you guys feel like you still play in a game where it's the DM versus the players, or do you feel that you're working together more? Because that's what we're trying for now. We like challenging encounters, but we're trying to have more fun than making it feel like we've thwarted the DM's plans to kill our characters this week.
Yeah, I definitely have had time. Sorry, I've definitely felt like I've had times where the GM has had it out for me. But it's I
You
think
probably
it's more.
deserved it.
I probably did. I negated the entire. I
You knew
negated
too
the
many rules. You were
entire
always trying to beat
encounter.
him.
Well,
Probably made a bad joke.
let me tell you, as a father, dad jokes are my prime territory. But it's like I said, playing a bard, and I basically negated 3 or 4 encounters with Dimension Door, and it really sucks when it's like I've got all this stuff set up, it's gonna be great, and Chromosis cast Dimension Door and took the entire party over the pit, and now it doesn't even matter. Way to go! Like there goes that hour of planning this awesome encounter, and it sucks, and I can understand it, but. To some extent he started like planning around it, so he's been like, oh well, now these giants are getting smart, now these enemies are getting smart, and they know you're going to do that because they've seen you do it. And I'm like, okay. So then it can be a little fun. I can understand getting in my face a bit, or having some warlock cast dimensional anchor on me so I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
That stuff like that is okay. I get it.
I know for me that I don't want the players to hardly die ever, and Pathfinder 2 is so lethal for people who haven't played it before. I'd rather them have a really awesome sense of like, there's so much more I can do. I can't wait to learn more and try other classes and try different feats and make the decision about their heroic character. But I don't want it to be Monty Hall giveaway easy mode. But there's so much training that has to go into the first few times they play to learn what they can do, even like the actions they can do and how the skills work. And there's so much that has to be learned first, and then they can start. You can start to see over time how they start getting better at things and they start trying those actions. I worry that a lot of new people who come to this game just going to get blown up. There you go.
I recently started DMing my own game with some good friends for the first time over the internet now using Roll20. We did not like Fantasy Grounds, but for me, I'm struggling with that whole like giving them a challenge, but not coming off as like their asshole friend, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I pick one person, I'm like, all right, I know for a fact if I do it this way, it's a challenge. But then they start questioning my moves, like, hey Ryan, why you keep attacking this person and such. So I started like kind of like randomizing it, like throwing the die out of the 3 of them and being like, all right, if it's 1, 2, or 3, this or 4, I pick randomly. But if it's 1, 2, or 3, these are who I attack. But I don't know if I like that method, to be honest. I think it takes too much time.
Let's
so
hear.
I like to find a better method.
Cool. Let's hear some East Coast and teacher perspectives again on that kind of stuff.
Specifically in lethality in the second edition, I've got a couple of students that are well into, I want to try everything. I want to see what best fits me. And the only way I really know that is so it hits the table. So there have been some clear situations where I haven't tried to kill one of their characters, but instead they let themselves die in a reasonable way. They put themselves into maybe too much of a dangerous situation when they really knew better. One thing I'll do as a GM is I will be quick to knock someone out, but as far as any kind of enemy with any sort of intelligence, very few enemies are going to attack a downed player unless it is the only threatening thing left in their field of vision.
Good point.
So as soon as you're knocked down, you have that hero point mechanic.
That's my
where you can wipe your hero points to auto stabilize your character. So that happens even at dying 3. And if you're reasonably sure nothing's going to attack you, yeah, it's a little metagamey, but characters are going to opt for, okay, I'll wait until dying 2 or something, and then I'll take the safety net and just be unconscious rather than dead. So I definitely have that that I'll go through with all of my characters, that some of them will get knocked out and stabilize themselves, but the enemies won't keep attacking them.
Yeah, they're not just like ravenous animals. Steel, what do you think?
Maybe some of the undead, but that's about it.
Well, I agree that the hero point option is really, really nice. In fact, I actually asked our game master in our first second edition campaign to remove his normal rule where he never kills the characters. I felt like the hero point economy put the onus on us to use them for rerolls or save them for saving our keysters. So I agree that mechanic, does add an element of strategy to, character management. As far as monsters, attacking, players and worrying about whether or not they're being ganged up on, or, why is my character always the one being attacked? And, that's hard, but I tend to try to run encounters with lots of slightly weaker bad guys, so I don't really have to worry about ganging up on one person too much because I'm ganging up on all of them.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Especially in this system, if you do not harass spellcasters, they will run amok of whatever you have planned. If you've got a party of 4 and 2 of them are spellcasters and 2 of them are melee combatants, and you've only got 4 monsters, your melee combatants can probably tie up those 4 monsters, and your 2 spellcasters in the party will just shred.
What do they do? Just cantrip blast the devil out of things? Or what do you see? Tell us, paint the picture, and the people who are listening to are watching the video, because not a lot of what those casters do in that situation. What are they doing?
Yeah, electric arc at low levels is a nightmare for a DM. It's a free spell they can do as many times as they want that can target 2 people.
Oh goodness! Is that like Geddy Lee's electric loop from 3rd edition?
Pretty much. And it scales, so as they level up, it just automatically does more damage. So.
Yep.
So
there's actually a few levels where it's, it's actually higher damage than most of your regular actual spells. It's I've run a few points of math on it back when release was just out, and yeah, it's just way off the charts. I think it had about an 85% more damage than other damage spells of the same category. It's
sounds broken.
If you're a player and you use that, it's definitely good.
Yep.
If you're a GM, you might be annoyed at it.
Yeah, the other cantrips. So I know because electric arc gets 2 targets, but like Ray of Frost, you can slow people. Acid Splash can destroy their items and their armor, and it can do splash damage, but very little.
Ray of Frost is also quite heavy distance.
Oh yeah, it's 60 feet, right?
Some of those spells were like
Ray
120.
120.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
120. Yeah.
I remember when I was first getting my head wrapped around the things the first month of release, and I was like, "Good Lord, look at the range of some of this stuff! It's like 500-foot range for control water." I don't even have a battle map that reaches across the garage. Is that big?
Yeah, I think with the squares, a lot of people 500 feet's 100 squares if they're each 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
500 feet is fire. 500 feet is fireball.
Yeah,
because fireball is the answer to everything.
Of course it is. Yeah.
just fireball.
I think a lot of people get sort of like they go, oh well, 30 feet's it's 2 targets at 30 feet, but that's a pretty small range compared to some other spells. And you as a caster, you're well within walking distance or striding distance, I guess, for the enemies to come up and smack you and do some damage.
Oh yeah, 75 feet and then 1 attack, and there's a multiple attack penalty.
And you're not gonna have like any armor usually.
No, you're just gonna get blown open probably.
Yeah, but then again, if you look at the other cantrips like Daze, Produce Flame, Acid Splash not the best thing, but still, if you look at the other cantrip, most of them are still 30 feet. It's just Ray of Frost that is very much an anomaly in terms of range, but 30 feet is pretty much the average in terms of...
Okay, that's good to know.
Ray of Frost is, I think it's Primal and Arcane can use it, right?
Maybe I get up here.
You look at the spell traditions kind of really matter now.
Oh yeah.
Because I know, for example, occult, which is your bards or sorcerers, they get acid splash, and I think that's about it. I think they get one other thing. I forget what it is though.
Well, sorcerers get whatever they want.
Yeah,
really.
Right. Sorcerers they're the wild card, right? But wizards get like electric art and Ray of Frost, and so do druids.
Yeah, there's Ray of Frost, 120 feet range.
And then Divine Lance is it's a nice spell. I'll say I like Divine Lance, but the issue is that it does a very specific type of damage. So it does good damage or lawful damage if you're a good or lawful character. It's based on your deity actually. So depending on the god you worship, it can do a certain type of damage, and good damage does not damage anything but evil characters. And if you worship Pharasma, you're out of luck. It can't do damage. So
Oh, Pharasma. I love her so
true
much, but
neutral.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a heavy sort of forfeit there.
Yeah. So
That was just
it can be interesting because like my champion has the sorcerer dedication from the level 9 ancestry feat for humans, multi-talented, I think, right?
Yep.
And I have to pick worshipping Iomedae if I do good or if I do lawful damage. And sometimes we fight like chaotic neutral characters, like a bandit would be chaotic neutral, and I'd say, oh, I want to do lawful damage. And sometimes we're fighting, demons, and they're evil, and I have to do good damage. So it's important to pick which one you want to use, and it can be very interesting to give that choice. It's an interesting little cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
So on the
I
board,
like the kind of space it occupies as far as having clerics that play or divine spellcasters that play and lean on that cantrip until they can't. The idea that, yes, it's useful and yeah, it's fun to have a damaging cantrip, but there are so many options at your disposal. It gets them thinking about all of those other things they can be doing as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
on the board, I just drew the 50-foot line from our cleric girl, which is down the doorway fighting the dual wielder, and just threw a couple of casters in the back here. And that line here, that black line horizontal east to west and the end of the welcome winch, that's the 50-foot line. So you're talking about twice that distance and another 20 feet for Ray of Frost.
Yeah.
And could you, the board, the distance, and in a war game, you can't even shoot a German rifle that far. So it's really, 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 really far. The casters, and that's out of 2 stride distances for most 25 footers. If she was I don't know, say she was a dwarf warrior or something. I got a dwarf around here somewhere. Let's just put this druid up here.
I'm currently playing as a dwarf wizard.
Okay.
I can tell you the speed.
Okay.
I can feel that. It's
the 5 feet hurts.
Every time when I'm out of range, I can't. You can't even walk close enough.
Yeah, there you go. Put a little dwarf on the board here.
Yep.
Let's say she wiped out the dual wielder. There's a dead token on the ground. There'll be a few seconds behind, and you're by yourself. You're level 5 dwarf, whatever, and you want to try to rush this chumpy level 1 caster that's blasting you with a cantrip.
That's going to be a whole turn.
And you got the furniture. And you got to go. You're not going to jump on top of the picnic table and leap to this table. All that would be dramatic, wouldn't it? And then go all the way over here. You got 3 long tables in the middle of the night. Forget about the lighting. And remember, if I remember correctly, every time you go a diagonal square, it's like 1.5. Isn't that what the distance is? Say his movement's 25. He can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unless he can't just go 5 diagonally. Isn't that right? You have to count
so
them.
it's alternating. So the first one's 5, then the next one's 10, then the next one's 5, the next one's 10.
Yeah. So even if he does 2 stride actions, by the time he goes around all this furniture and picks his path, he's still in range to get blasted again before he can even get close to these casters, and they're at like the 55, 60-foot mark. And
see, that's when the whole kick the table and take over behind it becomes interesting.
Absolutely what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
If you have that dwarf fighter, knowing what your speed is, you have to start taking advantage of the environment and knowing, oh, I can do this and interrupt their line of sight. I can take cover or greater cover and take that shot away. Either force them to get closer to you or buy yourself more time to get closer to them.
Yeah, that's where you need to have that kind of first-person shooter kind of thinking a little bit, where like where's the cover? How do I move across the room from cover? Like, do I make my first stride action to get behind this pillar over here? I know this is a little bit out of focus. I'll just move the little camera out of the way. Let's get that out of the way. It's not helping much. Just confusing. So does he just go from behind the pillar first? So they're like over here, like, I don't have line of sight to you anymore. And then does this next move then to move behind the next pillar? So he's encroaching but completely concealed. Then you're as a GM, you might want to think, well, gosh, all we have is these direct damage line of sight spells. We can't do anything. And the player can be rewarded for when it's their turn. What do they do? They're like, well, they try to get back in the room. They know they're going to get cornered. There's no way out of this inn except out a window. But players who try to rush the whole distance, they're the ones that get mowed down. And I think that people just don't realize that, and they need to get damaged really bad a few times to feel that. Go ahead. What do you guys think about that kind of stuff?
Back to teaching novice players, this is where we start talking about the specifics of holding actions. So if you know that this dwarf just ducked behind this pillar and you're the caster in the situation, you're wondering, okay, what can I do to hit him next time I can see him? Well, you can hold an action to do that, but it does take 2 of your actions to be able to hold it.
You can only hold a single action.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
That's correct. So you can't.
So most of your spells are
casting
2
a spell.
actions. So spellcasters can't really hold action very.
Well, explain that to people who may not know what this is. Like 5th edition, say a young kid's playing 5th edition, they heard you talking about holding an action, 3 action economy. We have 3 actions we could do in each one of our turns. Explain to people who don't know how that work. Like Ryan, he's in the channel. He works at my office. So explain that to the 5th edition player. How does the hold action work?
Well, basically, it just lets you do something on your turn when you're not really sure what you want to do. You know, if it's the beginning of this scenario and everything is hitting and you don't really know what's going on, but you don't want to sort of sit there and say, okay, I do nothing. You know, so you would use 2 of your 3 actions to hold a single action, which for all intents and purposes is usually going to be
movement,
a melee strike, or maybe movement, or raise a shield, or something.
So just to be clear, raising a shield is a different action. It takes a single action. It's page 470 of the core rulebook. It's called Ready, and it's a concentrate action. Actually, it takes 2 actions. I'll just read it. It says, you prepare to use an action that will occur outside your turn. Choose a single action or free action you can use, and designate a trigger. Your turn then ends.
Give me that give me that page number, and I'll pull it up on the right pane for people listening.
470.
470.
So
okay.
basically, so because it's concentrate, it makes it a little tough for raging barbarians to use. But it's essentially you pick a single or a free action, so that can be something like a strike, a step, a stride, even
not
a
much
disarm
planning going on during rage.
Yeah, exactly. But you could, for example, with what am I thinking of? The combat maneuvers. You could, for example, say when an enemy gets close to me, I will trip them. So you could then trip an enemy, because if they try to hit you, they take penalties from being prone. And they also, if they try to stand up, maybe your fighter or your barbarian can get that attack of opportunity and lay in the pain before they have a chance to do the same to you.
And to do that, you use your reaction.
Correct.
So you're using 2 actions of the 3 action economy to do ready, which I've highlighted yellow with the highlighter here on the right pane.
And then you have to burn your reaction, but potentially if we're back in that dwarf situation, the dwarf's using 2 of his actions to get close to the casters. Caster has an action prepared. Turns out for some reason he studied a bit, he worked a bit in the gym and has decent athletics. If he can trip the dwarf, then the 3rd action that the dwarf wanted to use to attack is going to have standing back up.
Yeah, he has to waste it. He doesn't get to start meleeing.
Yeah. Which potentially can save the caster, or it could just be even simple. I step away.
So you save the action so you can move out of range, almost like kiting him. Would that work?
Yeah, it could definitely be a thing, or it could use a reaction to walk back in the other room.
Or do a Kevin McAllister from Home Alone where you just chase each other around the table.
It could walk into the room, ready in action, and when the dwarf arrives close, it could close the door.
Yeah, you could do that. Go over here behind the door and get ready to kick it closed. It's going to be a few seconds delay for the stream to update, but she could backpedal in that room and get ready to slam the door with her foot if he pursues or something like that. While, the dwarf's going to have to, he's having to split his attention here now. So for the player, if you're playing the dwarf character and you're new and you're trying to do what you wanted to do since you're a little kid, which is charge forward and smash face, right? This makes you think about what to do next. And I think the new players will realize very quickly that 25 feet 3 times is really, really far. But when you get there, what are you going to do? You're going to run up and then just stand in someone's face and they're just going to nuke you for, nasty nuke you once and then move back 25 feet out of range and get in a room. So it's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. Movement distance alone will show you that fleet is one of the best feats in the game, and it's a general feat.
Absolutely.
So it's really easy for everyone to pick up. Just gives you a nice 5-foot movement bonus on your strides, and that's just so good.
I'll bring that up here on the right hand side. That's it gives you an extra 5 feet So if you're a dwarf,
Yep.
right, that's really handy because dwarf for 25, I
and
think.
anyone can take it. It's a general feat. As a joke, we've tried to calculate my group what's the fastest character you can make, and
Probably
we did
an
a
elf.
one shot. Yeah, so I made a level 10, that
Elf
level
monk.
10 rogue elf with fleet and nimble elf, so he has a 40-foot move speed as a base, which means I can pretty much always run up on someone. I believe the fastest character would be an elf monk with all the speed feats.
Oh
Who
wow, that
uses
sounds like
spells.
fun.
I think we calculated.
We've actually straight up done in playtest.
Yeah.
We've had the module where we tested exploration mode. I had a player who went with an elf monk rogue, did basically the highest move speed he could, managed to get himself a speed boost that he could use for most of the day, and basically explore the whole region in like a week wandering alone, while the rest of the group did more slow stuff. He just went on and did just a general exploration of the whole place. It was crazy.
Based on the current core rulebook, I believe the fastest speed you can achieve when you work it out with the math is 88.8
Good
miles per
lord.
hour, which is hilarious.
And you don't get a ticket or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you need a flux
apparently,
capacitor for that.
Yeah, if you cast what do you call it? Arc. If you cast lightning bolt on someone who's moving that fast, they can apparently travel back in time. So there you go.
I tell you what I'd like to do. I know this has been fun, but I want to burn everyone to death late at night. You guys, how's your energy level? I was going to wrap things up here in a few minutes. Is that okay with you? Maybe do.
Yeah. I have to get up at 4 a.m. for work, so that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good.
If you'd like
probably
to
make lunch.
Yeah, there you go. All around the world, and you're a day ahead. Tell us what happens.
Oh, in the future?
Yeah, because
Ooh.
you're 15 hours ahead of Texas and Australia.
Listen,
I
is
can't tell
Half-Life
you.
3 out yet?
I'd have to kill
That's all
you.
I care about.
Go to the web and tell us what the lottery numbers, and we'll split it with you.
Oh, that would be so cool.
I could stay up really late. I'll just call in.
There you go. Well, I appreciate everyone jumping in. It's been actually a fun banter. I hope that I'll put this on YouTube later, and hopefully people like it. And if we can, I think it's okay. We kind of free roam all over the place. I don't really have a problem with what we're doing. I think it's fun. We can start with the topic. You guys can always throw an idea because some of you are much more experienced at being a game master than I ever will be. And I think the thing that's of value is for people who aren't real comfortable going and asking people questions, or aren't jumping into Reddit to get made fun of, or jumping in someone's Discord, is having a YouTube video you can scrub back and forth and hear people who really know some of the stuff talk about how they work it. And that's a great knowledge sharing, especially while everyone's separated and stuck at their house, so go ahead.
Yeah, and I get that people are feeling sometimes a little awkward about coming online and asking a stupid question or whatever. I just want to bring up, if anyone has some doubts or questions, I am actually rather involved with the Pathfinder subreddit, Pathfinder_RPG. Any question, there is no stupid question. Anything that anyone wants to ask, it can always be brought up. It can always be something that I'd encourage someone to come up with, because in the end, it's a community, and we're here to just play together, have fun together, and share ideas. So if nobody brings up the question, then nobody comes up with the answer.
Just make sure you flag your posts on that subreddit as Second Edition, because they require the what is it, the flares. That's what it is. There is
The
another
flares
one.
and
There's Pathfinder the number 2 and then an E. That's also a subreddit.
Pathfinder 2 EGM. If you want to do that, if you want to promote your stream, you're gonna have to use the self promotion. We have rules for self promotion.
Yep.
We'll go over those.
And even the Discord,
Reddit is a fantastic resource for asking questions, because everyone is pretty nice. There are a few power gamer people who will tell you, like, oh, you could get more damage if you did this. But for the most part, if you ask a question of like, could I do this thing, or does this work the way I think it works, you'll get some answers for it.
And even the Discord channel, which I got up on one of the panes here, is pretty fun and upbeat. And that's just people typing in real time in chat, and people pulling stuff from archives of Nethys, like this guy here talking about befuddle and confusion. So that's a great place to go poke around and just lurk if you're not a big Reddit user, because Reddit can be confusing for people who've never used it ever
Yeah.
before. Things get upvoted and things disappear in seconds.
I know,
I posted
it's
videos there and they
pretty handy.
vanished in seconds.
And it's pretty handy because you have like it's just what disco.gg/Pathfinder.
hmm
You can just type it up.
That's great. Cool. Any final comments before we end it up for tonight?
So this was really fun.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah.
I tell you the thing I really like is for me it's really exciting to hear other people's their stories and their experiences and how they do it, and I can just imagine how fun it would be for someone to listen to these kind of conversations, because you got people from all around the world talking about this game and all their different life experiences. I think it's kind of fun. So, and having some visuals to go along with it keeps it from just being a radio show. So I think that's really cool. And if you want to get more friends involved in it, we're not doing this for money. We're doing this for fun. So spread the word. Maybe it'll take off and we can do it more often. I guess what I'll do next is I'll maybe just throw something in the channel, maybe something for the weekend, and we can maybe throw some topics around, just keep it loose, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah. As far as the
Alright.
topic, I was thinking,
Yeah, go for
just like thinking about was like either character creation or just like fun combinations, fun things to try. Like I mentioned, the combat maneuver kind of build for like a rogue or a monk could be really interesting.
Or-
I think Pathfinder Second Edition has some more definitive builds because of the way the feats work. But you can do some pretty fun, goofy stuff where you really specialize. I think it could be fun.
Even just what to
I
do with your
love
empty
character
offhand.
creation in this game.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well-
great.
Well, you know what? If you guys want to do something like that, maybe what we could do is maybe you could come to the table with a character, or you could walk. We could take one of the pre-gens and say why is Amiri built the way she's built. I'll leave it up to you. It'd be great to have one of you like lead that conversation, like the two of you, like, hey, when you're making a character, you're going to do this. It's going to be hard for me at my end to fill in character sheets while we're talking about it, but think about that and how would be a good way for visually to show that off to people so they could see.
Or yeah, even just going through the races. I think a lot of people when they first play, I know I did this a lot, was you see human or you see like half elf, because there's very little downside to playing those races. But I think if you look at some of the others, there's a lot of fun to be had there. A human's very flexible, but you get like more movement speed on the elf, or if you play like a dwarf, you get some nice racial abilities that could be very interesting as well. So, for sure.
Or we could just go back to the
CRB
ABCs.
is
Go ahead.
Yeah, the CRB is great. Love the
Yeah.
CRB and all the options there. But if you get into Lost Omen's character guide,
Oh yeah.
the dwarves and the gnomes and everybody starts to shine a lot brighter. I mean, the
Leechlings.
humans are still really cool, and you get a lot of really fun stuff. But it really brings a lot of life with the different sort of racial feats or ancestral feats that they have.
Well, I'll grab that and have it on hand as a PDF form, so you can talk about something like that and say, oh, you could take this, but instead of doing this rock runner or whatever, you could try this instead, and I can bring it up on a panel for people to follow along. I feel sure Paizo would like the PDF sales. So
Yeah.
The books are
definitely.
worth it. I think. I mean, they're
I love all
they're
of them.
really well drawn. Or really, lots of great art. I mean, it's all in the PDF, but there is something to be said with owning the books. I actually couldn't get the Lost Omens World Guide where I live in New Hampshire because it kept getting sold out. And then I went on business out to California and actually found it in a comic book store when I was meeting a friend out there, and I was sitting in the LA airport reading the Lost Omens World Guide. So apparently I have a trend of reading rule books in really strange places because I have nothing
the
better
beach,
to
maybe?
do. Yeah, it's
I've brought them to
beach, the
laundromats
airport.
before, so
They're gonna come out with the APG, and I'm gonna be in like a nice restaurant, eating like, eat some foie gras and read
Yeah,
about.
when-
with a glass of
I
champagne,
remember
right?
when 3.5 came out, I actually ended up because that was just very recently after I started GMing. I started GMing 3.0, and then I moved to 3.5, and I actually bought all the books. And when it came out, I spent an entire night just reading the monster manual back to back.
Yeah, so you can
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
imagine what to do
It's
with them all.
probably unhealthy.
I know when I got the core rulebook for second edition, the first thing I did was flip to like what I wanted to play because I'd been following the play test. I was like, let's read about champions. Let's see how we do this. Like, oh, I'm so excited. And it's pretty awesome. And that's, I think, the best thing about Paizo's writing really is they really make you want to try all the classes. They all sound really fun.
Well, they're very,
If
very
we
good
do
writers.
The character creation and development thing, I might have a really cool champion idea that somebody might enjoy. But
Yeah, maybe that's what you guys could do is engineer a really interesting character, and you can either drag a picture or make a PDF or whatever you wanted to do, and give it to us in the Discord channel. I can pull it up on the screen here on OBS so people can see it and follow along while you kind of verbally walk through like why this is really cool and pick this feat, and I can flip the page to the feat, and then you could talk about it. I mean, those would be really neat. Maybe everyone has to come up with like a cool champion or something for the next episode. I don't know. Those would be fun. We could. Why don't we do that? You want to do something like that? Somebody pick a class. I won't be able to do it because I'm not good enough. Why don't you guys pick a class? And
let's do champion then.
There's 12 classes. You could just roll a 12-sided die, right?
I'll roll it right now. How about that? It's the most underused die in the whole. Let me get this books out of the way.
The wizard is 12, alchemist is 1.
All right.
Which I think it's appropriate because isn't alchemist? Everyone's been saying alchemist is pretty.
Need a dice cam for this moment in gaming history.
I feel like Plague Stone is a really good adventure to showcase the alchemist too, and it takes a lot of work to get them to a place where they seem fun because it's such an alien thing to a lot of people.
To be a bomb thrower.
When you guys run out of Paizo official content, there's a really cool module that I believe was free called the Hidden Oasis. Plug.
Well, if we're talking about non-official content, there is a small, tiny little Discord server, a series of dice-based event, which is doing conversion of all the first edition adventure packs.
Oh, wow!
Which I might have had something to do with.
Oh, you're
good for you. You should plug it away. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, people making stuff. If you plug your stuff, if you give a copy of to people or whatever you want to do, I don't have a problem with that because.
No, I was plugging you.
Oh, forget it. I'm a big kid that hasn't grown up. That's my biggest flaw. Yeah, I don't know. I try to make the stuff have more. I try to hook in people that have never played before because I grew up with the stuff. You know, I can't, and so I'm trying to hook in young people and kids and people like that to come play. So the stories are always kind of like, you don't really need to know how to play, but you're going to have a good time. So that's the video game kid in me, you know. But okay, so I'm going to roll a 12-sided die, right? This ugly black one work for you? I haven't rolled it yet. I'm just showing it to you on the screen. And we'll pick a class. Sound good? And 1 will be alchemist and 12 will be wizard in alphabetical order. Does that sound good?
Works for me.
Works for me.
All right, here we go.
What's that?
I rolled off the table. 11.
Out there in Discord.
11.
That's a sorcerer.
I believe that's sorcerer.
Oh,
that'll be confusing.
That's actually a fun one.
There's a lot
They're
of
all
nice
fun
ability there.
ones.
Well, she's certainly the sassiest.
Now
she gets all the cover art and everything.
How much restriction is there on dedications and multi-class dipping?
Well, you know
what level are we talking?
Why don't you, if you do it level 1, it will help someone who's never done it before.
I think if you did like 1 and then maybe like 1, 6, and 10, something like that, just an idea of what you would get, or even just like a progression, right, of what you would do at each.
Or how about 5, and I can pull up the community use packet pre-gen. You can compare their lame build or whatever you want to call it versus
don't talk bad about Sienna.
I'm just joking.
She's so nice.
Sienna's good.
I don't have a 5 of her.
Be a pain in the ass to paint because she has all those ribbons on her, but
oh yeah, she's covered with she's a walking runestone. She's a cool character. Well, yeah, let's do that. Let's do everyone come up with some kind. I'll even try, but you got to give me a couple of days, maybe for the weekend. And I'd like the Australian continent to contribute to this. So I know your schedule's going to be, you're 15 hours ahead of us in Texas. So maybe by Friday night.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation for me because
you're working, right?
I work when I work mornings in the weekend.
Okay.
And as for the midweek, I'm not sure when I'm actually free because with the lockdowns and everything and working from home, there's things that I need to keep in mind. So the mornings are a bit weird lately.
So
hey, I'll hop in when I can.
So if we were to try to do something for this weekend, the goal would be to everyone go away and do their homework and come back with a cool, crazy, neato sorcerer that's level 5. How about that? We just level 5, okay?
The only day I'm not available is Sunday because that's when I play Age of Ashes. So.
Oh, you just cancel that. so from I'm just joking. From your perspective in Australia, when this Saturday you working a Saturday in the morning, then are you?
So your Saturday or my Saturday?
Your Saturday, because I'm thinking of our Friday night.
Okay. So my Saturday, yes, I am.
Okay, so you'd be tied up.
So I'm out.
I
But
want.
hey, I'll drop you a sheet or something.
Yeah. We'd like to get you in. I think having someone from the other side of the world is cool, and I think you don't want just a bunch of damn Americans in here talking all the time. So, we'll shoot loosely for Friday. We could always. I don't want to do it too late at night for East Coast folks, but
No, it's okay. I like I said, World of Warcraft. I used to play it. It ruined my sleep schedule, so I go to bed at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock every night.
mm-hmm.
I'm in that same boat with World of Warcraft, but now I'm married and old, so
Yeah, I mean, I
I
don't
go
know
to
if
bed a
I'm
little bit earlier.
I'm married, but
Yeah, it's already
I just-
9:30 at night in the East Coast for you folks. So
Yeah, it's not too late. It is Passover though, so I'm loaded up on matzah. It's great.
well, we'll try Friday night and then we can do a follow up for you from Australia, so you can still come in and say you can cheat and see what we came up with, and then you can come up with yours that just dominates everyone's build at the end. But it doesn't need to be power game. It could just be personality. Like, what's the personality? What's the character? So I think people would like that. See how people who really know how to play and know a lot about the game, what kind of really neat level 5 sorcerer, and then you kind of
Are you
explain
still
it.
wanting to run a game on Friday night?
Not me, no.
Thursday night, I mean.
Oh, not me, no. We're doing this.
Okay.
I think this is going to be really help a lot of people learn, and build this
Okay.
library of people sharing stuff.
You're talking about it, I think, this Monday about possibly finding some players for Thursday, so I was curious if that was still happening or not.
Now, you know I am, Ryan. When I have a really good idea, I run with it. So this has been
I
so
know.
much fun. I'm just going to run with this. It's just so cool, and all these people that have been contributing tonight are really awesome. So we're going to run with that. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll learn from it too, which is really good. I can't run a good
Oh,
game
no.
until I've learned how to do it right.
As
Cool.
someone who's never played Pathfinder, this is extremely entertaining, and I'm learning a lot.
I am too. So, all right. Just keep it loose. We'll see how it is. No major commitment, and we'll get somebody in here with a build, maybe Friday night, USA time, and we'll see how it goes. And we could just do a sorcerer for 2 or 3 episodes in a row or whatever. We'll see how it goes. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Good to me.
Yeah, I appreciate
I
you guys
will ask
hanging
one
out.
last
Yeah, go.
question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, thank you.
How does that sword look on that miniature? Does it look like it's metal? I ask everyone I show this picture to.
It looks silver.
Yeah,
It's good.
could be.
Because
Silver
it's
sword
not,
works.
it's not. It's the only time I've done non-metallic metal is on that sword for miniature painting. So it's all just like flat colors.
There's a
There's
technique
one
that the hardcore mini guys do to do that. I can't even
Yeah,
come close
It's
to
called
it.
non-metallic metal. It is so
Yeah.
difficult. I literally just tried it, and it came out looking pretty good. Like I'm pretty proud of it. But holy crap! Like I tried to do it on the armor, and I just gave up after 5 seconds because I was like, no, it's not happening. I'm not nowhere near that good. I call it tabletop ready is like the quality I do, where it's very
Mine are
you can
crap.
play it. It looks good on the table when you're sitting, 5-6 feet back, but once you get up there and you look at it, you see all the little imperfections, and you're like, oh, I screwed up this, I screwed up that.
I prefer the gloop of silver. Let it dry, null, and walk away. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Just gloop, and I'll just glue. That's just glue junk on the bottom, make it kind of sort of look like a person. So
Do
Honestly,
you paint your own figures, Elliot?
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
they're not that good. They're okay. There's
if you go to r/mini painting, they don't do miniatures a lot. They do a lot of other stuff, but some of the stuff they do is just out of this frickin' world. How amazing it looks! If you
Oh,
look at
yeah.
like the top posts of all time. There's this one I always show. I can probably find it in a couple seconds, but it's a shield that is just holy crap. Like it looks amazing, and I have no idea how they did it.
Yeah, my stuff's just on the table, colored for squinting. It works for squinting. Cool. Well, I'm gonna wrap the show up and hit pause on it, and let's do it again sometime. And I had a lot of fun. You guys are really cool. This is a cool group of people. I love it. It's awesome.
Yep.
And thanks for your time tonight. I
Absolutely.
know it takes time away from your life and your family to do these things, but I think a lot of people will learn a lot and they'll enjoy it. Oh wow, that shield looks amazing. Let me pull
And
that
it's
up on the
not-
stream so
it's
people can
not
see it.
metallic paint. It's all acrylic, and it just blended. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they did it.
It has to be a cheat.
That is really good.
Yeah, and they did it like, oh yeah, I did it over like 7 hours over 3 days. I'm like, yeah,
What?
just 7 hours to make the perfect looking shield. It's like, get out of here.
That's crazy. That's someone who really understands how reflection and light
Yeah.
works. The little blue highlight line and all that's just incredible.
Oh yeah, I mean, like Reddit's really great. The mini painting community is great. They're very encouraging. Like even if you paint like the crappiest miniature, they'll be like, "Oh, like you're doing great. You're painting the right areas, the right colors, and I can see it. Like maybe thin your paints down." That's great. And same with like Pathfinder. Everyone's pretty just like, "Oh, it's a cool idea for a character. You should try this." I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
It's the hobby thus men get teased about the most.
No, all my wife's friends think it's really cool. Either that or they're patronizing me, which I would be too oblivious to know if they were. So.
That's awesome. All right, young people, old people, middle-aged people, whatever we got here. I'm gonna hit stop, and y'all have a fun night, and we'll do it again real soon. Thanks for spending time.
then.
Yeah, it was fun.
Hosting.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Take care. Y'all have a good evening.
Take care.
See you.
Later.
Bye.